You walk up to the machine, you slide in your card, you type 4 numbers you probably picked 10 years ago. A few seconds later, cash slides out of a slot in the wall like the building just decided to hand you money. It feels like nothing, a vending machine for cash. But in the 4 seconds between your PIN and your bills, something happens that would have looked like magic to anyone alive 100 years ago. Your request just left the parking lot, crossed the country, argued with a bank, got checked for fraud, moved money that was never really in that box, and came back. All before the machine even started counting the notes. And here's the part nobody tells you. The cash in that machine, it's already outnumbered. For every dollar sitting inside every ATM on Earth, there are hundreds of dollars that exist only as numbers on a screen. You are pulling paper out of a system that mostly doesn't use paper anymore. Let me show you what actually happens, because it's stranger than you think. First, look at what you're really standing in front of. You think of an ATM as a computer with a screen. It's not. It's a safe. A heavy steel vault bolted to the floor or the wall, with a small computer strapped to the front of it. The screen and the keypad are the friendly face. Behind them sits a locked box that most people will never see the inside of. Inside that box are cassettes, plastic trays, each one loaded with a single kind of bill. 20s in one, 50s in another, hundreds in a third if the machine carries them. A busy machine might hold a few $100,000 on a good day. A quiet one in a gas station corner might hold far less. And the machine knows, to the exact note, how much it has. Every single bill has been counted going in. Every bill it hands out gets subtracted. If the count is ever off by even one note, the machine flags itself. Somewhere a report gets written. Somebody has to explain where that bill went. So the box is watching itself. Constantly. That's the first thing to understand. The machine doesn't trust anyone, including the people who fill it. Now you walk up. You put in your card. And right away, most people get this wrong. Your card doesn't contain your money. It never did. The chip and the stripe hold almost nothing interesting. An account number, a code, some technical odds and ends. There's no balance stored on the card. There's no cash hiding in the plastic. Your card is not a key that opens your money. It's a question. It says, this person is claiming to be the owner of this account. Are they? And do they have anything to withdraw? The machine can't answer that. The machine has no idea who you are and no idea what's in your account. It's a box of cash in a wall. It knows nothing about you. So it has to ask someone who does. You type your PIN, you press enter, and now the race starts. Your PIN does not travel across the internet as 4 plain numbers. That would be insane. The moment you type it, the machine scrambles it inside a small sealed chip built for exactly one job, turning your PIN into a block of gibberish that only the right bank can unlock. Even the ATM itself never really sees your PIN in a form it could steal. It gets locked in a box the machine can't open. Then your request leaves. It shoots out of the ATM and into a network. If the machine belongs to your own bank, the trip is short. If it belongs to some other bank or a random machine in a convenience store, your request hops onto a shared network that stitches thousands of banks together, and it goes hunting for yours. Think about what that means for a second. You're standing at a machine owned by a company that isn't your bank, in a building that isn't your bank, and it's about to hand you money out of its own box based on a promise from a bank that might be 5 states away. Your request finds your bank, and your bank starts asking questions, fast ones. Is this PIN correct? Is this really your account? Do you actually have the money? Is this card reported stolen? Have you already pulled out your daily limit? Is anything about this weird? That last one matters more than you'd guess. While your bank is checking your balance, another system is checking you, quietly, in the background. And it's asking one thing. Does this look like fraud? This is where it gets a little unsettling. Your bank has a picture of you it built without asking, where you normally take money out, how much you usually pull, what time of day, what day of the week. It has, in a sense, a boring little model of your habits. So imagine your card normally gets used in one town, at lunchtime, $40 at a time. And suddenly it shows up at 3 in the morning, in a city you've never visited, asking for the daily maximum. The system doesn't know you're on vacation. It only knows the pattern broke. Sometimes it lets it through and pings your phone. Sometimes it just says no, and you stand there confused while a machine you'll never meet has quietly decided you might be a criminal. It's not personal. It's a probability. You just tripped a wire you couldn't see. If nothing looks wrong, your bank sends back one small message. Approved. Give this person their money. And here's the strange part. Nobody moved any cash to make that decision. Nothing physical happened anywhere. Your bank just changed a number in a database. Your balance dropped. That's it. The money leaving your account was never a stack of bills. It was a figure that got smaller. The paper hasn't moved yet. That's about to be the ATM's problem. Now the machine goes to work on the only physical thing in this whole story. Behind the slot, a little conveyor system wakes up. Rollers, belts, sensors. The machine reaches into the right cassette and starts pulling bills off the top, one at a time, faster than your eye would track. And it does not trust its own hands. As each bill slides through, it passes sensors that check the thickness. Because 2 notes stuck together is the machine's nightmare. If a 20 sticks to another 20, you get 40, and the machine's count is now wrong. And remember, being wrong is the one thing this box cannot tolerate. So if it feels a double, it doesn't hand it to you. It shunts that bill sideways into a reject bin inside the safe and grabs a fresh one. You never see this. You never know a bill got pulled and thrown out. From where you stand, the machine just paused for a heartbeat. It counts out your exact amount. It stacks the notes into a neat little pile behind the slot, and it holds them there. It doesn't push them out yet, because now the machine has a small crisis of confidence. Here's something almost nobody knows. If you don't grab your cash fast enough, a lot of machines take it back. Think about why. The machine pushed your bills halfway out into the world, and then nothing happened. You didn't take them. Maybe you walked away. Maybe you got distracted. Maybe you were never really you, and the real you is about to file a complaint. The machine can't leave cash hanging out of a wall for the next person to grab. So after a short wait, it pulls the money back inside and locks it in a separate bin, a little jail for abandoned cash, and it tells your bank, this person didn't take it, put the money back. That's the whole system in miniature. It would rather swallow the cash and refund you than let a single bill float free. Everything in that machine is built around one fear, losing track of a note. If you do take your money in time, the machine finally relaxes. It logs the transaction. It updates its own internal count. It tells the network the deal is done, and it goes quiet, waiting for the next person to walk up and start the whole race over again. You walk off with your cash thinking that was simple. It wasn't. You just skipped over the weirdest part of the whole thing. Go back to the moment your balance dropped. When your bank approved you, it didn't reach into a pile of your specific dollars. Your money isn't sitting in a labeled drawer with your name on it. The second you deposit money in a bank, it stops being your cash sitting somewhere and becomes something stranger, a promise. The bank owes you that amount. The actual bills you deposited are long gone, lent out, moved around, spun into other people's mortgages and car loans. So when you withdraw $200, the bank isn't returning your $200. It's handing over somebody's $200 out of a machine owned by a third party and settling the difference later with a flurry of messages between banks that you'll never see. Money gets shuffled between institutions at the end of the day to make all the numbers line up. Not by moving trucks of cash, by moving numbers. The cash you're holding is real. The account it came out of is mostly an agreement, and that gap between the paper and the promise is bigger than you can picture. Here's the fact that breaks people's brains a little. Most of the money in the world does not exist as cash. It never gets printed. There aren't enough bills on the planet to cover what everyone thinks they own. If every single person walked up to a machine on the same morning and tried to pull out everything they had, the machines would run dry in minutes and the cash simply wouldn't be there. Not because the banks cheated you, because the money was mostly numbers the whole time. We all just agreed to believe in it. And the belief works, right up until too many people stop believing at once. That's what a bank run actually is. It's not thieves. It's a crowd of ordinary people all trying to turn their numbers into paper on the same day, and discovering there was never that much paper. The ATM sits right on the seam between those two worlds. On one side, the fantasy, infinite numbers, moving at the speed of light, owed and re-owed across a web of banks. On the other side, the reality, a steel box with a finite number of 20s in it, counting itself, terrified of being one bill short. Every time you withdraw, you're crossing that seam. You're turning a rumor back into something you can fold into your wallet. And here's the part that makes the whole thing feel human again. That box of cash doesn't refill itself. All that light speed networking, All that fraud detection genius, and it still comes down to this. A person in an armored truck has to drive up, unlock the safe, pull the empty cassettes, and slot in trays stuffed with fresh bills that were counted by hand or by machine before they left the depot. The whole glittering digital system rests on a guy with a key and a truck full of cash, doing his rounds, one machine at a time. If he doesn't show up, the machine empties. And when the machine empties, all the numbers in the world don't matter because you still can't pull a 20 out of an empty box. So the next time cash slides out of that wall like it was nothing, remember what just happened in those 4 seconds. Your PIN got scrambled into a code no one can read. Your request crossed the country and back. A machine you'll never meet decided you probably weren't a thief. Your bank shrank a number in a database and called it your money. A steel safe counted out paper it doesn't own, checked every note twice, and got ready to swallow it back if you hesitated. And somewhere behind all of it, a truck and a person and a key kept the whole illusion topped up with actual paper. You thought you were using a machine. You were watching the entire modern money system hold its breath for 4 seconds, just to hand you something it mostly pretends exists. And it does this millions of times a day all over the world, without anyone noticing. You noticed. Now you can't stop noticing.